was the whole plan. No time frame, no way that we were gonna do it. We're just gonna go. It started off as just avoiding facing what was next. And what it became was really finding something that was missing for me. It became exploring a spiritual side of my life that I had sort of long abandoned.
While she was traveling, Diana diligently kept a journal to record her thoughts and feelings. What she didn't realize at the time was that this diary was not just a record of her present, it was also a prophecy of her future, and of a dramatic experience that would transform her relationship to the supernatural world.
I was reading the journal that I brought, and the day before, I had written something about searching for the light. I'm looking for light, and I'm looking for the light. And there was a lot of reference in all the journal entries before the event about looking for the light. I feel strongly the presence of that living force, like magic in the air. The trees and the weeds entangle the sky in black, webbed silhouettes. The spiders are waiting, mosquitoes searching, and the moths are seeking the light like I am. And then I spilled something on that part. Chris, he was the guy I was dating, and I had met up with a couple of guys, Phoenix and Hawk. I can't remember they had real names too. But, they were going to drive to Los Angeles, and they offered us a drive. It was gorgeous. It was, I think, the most beautiful thing, because the road is right on the cliffside, and there's just cliffs, and then ocean, and then sky. And so we drove for about 4 hours, and we stopped at a little place, and it had, these huge mugs of tea, and there were those fireplaces all over the room. It was just warm, and were just really lovely. And Phoenix decided we should keep going. We should just drive all the way to LA tonight. So we're like, well, he's driving us. Sure, we'll go to LA tonight. So it was just after we got back into the car and we drove along the highway that suddenly the car hit something, and we'd heard a loud crashing sound, and it started to spin. And the coastal highway, I don't know if you're familiar with the coastal highway, there's basically 2 lanes and a very small guardrail for most of it. And where we had hit the rock, it rolled, like the car had rolled over, it was a very large rock, and spun. There was a bit of a shoulder, so we actually spun at a pretty high speed onto the shoulder, and then the car stopped. And we all got out of the car after a while, and nobody said anything. We didn't know what to say. The speed of the car spinning and how low the guardrail was, if we had hit the guardrail, we could have, gone through the guardrail, over the guardrail. We all sort of knew it. And what do you say when we all could have died? So we stood for a while looking out over the water, and it was pretty dark because there's no street lights. Like the clouds had dissipated a bit. There was like a little bit of a moon, so it was just a bit of light on the ocean. And as we were standing there, I was looking out over the ocean. I suddenly had this feeling like I was standing on a spotlight. Like it was white and really bright. Like if I looked down, I didn't see it. I'm like, okay. So I stood for a while and wondered what it was. And if I held my arm up, I could see the light, like reflecting along the base of my arm, and I could see it in my eyelashes and in my hair. And it felt like a safe place, like a safe light, like I'm standing in safety. After a while, I thought, I wonder if I'm the only one that sees this light. And I asked, hesitantly asked the people I was with, because I thought, well, this is a little unusual. And I said, do you guys see like a bright light? Like you're standing on a bright light? And they said, no. Do you? I said, yeah, I do. I do. And I couldn't stop like holding my arm out, because it was so bright, it was so amazing, and it felt like it had, I'm not sure if I would say it saved me, or it wanted me to know that I didn't die and that there was something else I was supposed to do. I didn't specifically notice when it ended, because it was there for quite a while, but we all looked and said, there's a truck coming down the highway, because we could see it, sort of a little light spiraling along. And then after we looked at the truck, when I looked back, it was gone. And from that moment, for the rest of the trip, and that was probably a week or two into the trip, and I was there for 2 months, everything slowed down, and it was like I was appreciating life. I was appreciating sort of every day, every moment. We hiked into Big Sur and went down to Copper Canyon and was all the way through sort of Mexico and that area. Everything felt like it had a more spiritual presence, or a more significant presence, and it made me stop and see it and not sort of rush by it and go, well, I'm trying to figure this part of my life out, I don't have time for this. It was like I stopped and looked. I could hear the voice of God in the wind, the call of the goddess, the song of Shiva, a whisper of Buddha. The land in which we walked was a land of spirits. Their power was strong. They were the dwellers there, and all the rocks yielded up their treasures.
When you come to believe in the supernatural, it can change your relationship to the world and the people in it, especially the young man you're traveling with.
He thought it was kind of interesting, but it wasn't really something he wanted to talk about. He didn't want to know about the experience. He's just like, oh, well, that's interesting. And that was it for him. And I found that a bit frustrating, not like I wanted him to believe that I saw anything. I mean, if he doesn't, that's fine. It was just such a real moment to me that I found that I spent the rest of the trip talking to people about spirituality, their experiences, where they came from. It made me want someone in my life that is more willing to talk about that maybe a guardian angel saved me. Like maybe it did, maybe, who knows what happened that night on the highway. But I want someone in my life who's willing to ask me about it, or wonder what might have happened, or explore what might have happened.
Paul believes the hitchhiker he picked up on that lonely road was an angel in physical form. Diana is not quite as willing to describe what happened on the coast highway as an encounter with an angel, but she definitely believes a supernatural force was protecting her on that night. Both Paul and Diana are certain that something special happened to them on those dark roads, and because of that, they changed their spiritual lives. Thinking about their stories, I can't help but feel how much more meaningful their lives have become because of the choices they made.
I didn't run to angel books. I was very wise with who I told. And I don't know if that's because I wanted to protect this, because I really believe that it was true. Because there'll always be doubt. I still have doubt about a lot of things. I don't have doubt about an almighty God, and I don't have doubt about angels. But for me, it just boosted my faith. It just absolutely boosted my faith.
It had me stop, because I think from when I was a teenager, and when I decided, I don't need this God, Catholic, this isn't me, I don't need this anymore, I stopped looking at that side, and I started like kind of putting that sort of well, that doesn't exist and I don't need that anymore. I started trying to move away from it and not sort of look back and look at the value I got from having that as an upbringing, whether that's a choice in my life or not. And I think it was a reminder that, to me, spirituality is important, that sort of connection to something greater is important, whether it's a Christian God or a spirit or something, that's something that's important to have in my life.
What makes someone notorious? Inconceivable crimes.
The hair on the back of your neck stands up when you realize what you're watching.
And a passion for publicity.
He enjoyed the attention. He wanted to be on the front page.
Secret schemes and shocking extremes, 5 nights a week. Notorious, Monday through Friday at 8. Only on Bio. True story.